Good evening and thanks for joining us for KREM 2 News at 10 where we give you more news in less time. I'm Cody Proctor. Let's get started. Well, starting off with weather now because it was mild for your Friday, but we could see a shift pretty soon. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick joining us now in the Outdoor Weather Center. And Thomas, could we be seeing some rain or even snow this weekend?
Yeah, rain and snow certainly possible this weekend, but I'll say this up front, looking a lot more like a mountain snow event than it would for our area of valleys and lowlands. Nonetheless, our next weather system finally in the picture in our satellite and radar imagery. There it is right there, and it's going to be sliding into Washington really come tomorrow afternoon at the earliest, but we won't get rain or snow immediately from that. But I do have to keep these rain and snow chances in the forecast pretty much through the PM hours on Saturday and most of the day on Sunday. I know this isn't extremely detailed. We'll cover that in about 10 to 15 minutes time, but we'll show you this. I mentioned off the top, mountain snow looks like a guarantee, and there are winter storm warnings for the Cascades. So I'm going to break down how much snow is in the forecast, when it will arrive, and really how scattered versus widespread it will be through the course of this weekend and even early next week. A very important forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Thomas, thank you so much. New tonight, a father and his young child were lucky to escape a crash with only minor injuries after they were T-boned by a driver fleeing the scene of a hit and run. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk shows us the dramatic video and the charges a young driver is now facing.
Well, someone could have easily been killed in this crash. As you're about to see, this small car was going so fast it made the large pickup go airborne.
Jaw-dropping video sent to us by Spokane police shows the moment a hit-and-run suspect T-bones a truck, launching it into the air. It happened just before 7:30 this morning in North Spokane at the intersection of Alberta and Queen.
One vehicle that rolled over, there's a truck on its top. We're going to upgrade to an extrication. We have a patient that is pinned in.
Police identified the driver of the car as 22-year-old Gavin Burnt. They say he was fleeing from a hit-and-run crash that happened at Wellesley and Belt minutes earlier. You can see just how fast the car was traveling through this narrow residential street with cars parked on both sides. There's no attempt to even slow down at the stop sign. The impact sends the pickup in the air. It lands on its roof, crashing into a fence and home. The father and young child inside managed to crawl out of the mangled truck. Police say they received just minor injuries. The driver of the other car had major injuries and had to be cut out of the vehicle.
Got somebody in the still pinned in a car with some pretty substantial lower body injuries.
Police say the 22-year-old was driving on a suspended license, had no insurance or a required blow-and-go device installed in his car. Officers reported Burnt did not show any signs of impairment. He's in the hospital facing charges including felony hit-and-run from the first accident and reckless driving.
And just a few hours after this crash, police responded to another one where a woman died. She was a passenger in a car that was hit by another young driver in a truck. That driver also showed no signs of impairment, but police believe speed was a factor. Major crimes detectives are investigating. In the newsroom, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
Oh, look, we have reason to believe the Russian forces are planning to and intend to attack Ukraine in the coming week, in the coming days.
Today, President Biden addressing the tension on the Ukraine and Russia border, explaining he believes Russian President Vladimir Putin has already made the decision to invade. The president revealed his assessment after holding a phone call with NATO allies amid the administration's all-out effort to prevent a war. A defense official tells CBS News that 40 to 50% of Russian forces are now in their attack positions just miles from the Ukraine border. The president says Kyiv, the capital, could come under attack in just days. Today, Kim Potter was sentenced to 2 years in prison after fatally shooting Dante Wright during a traffic stop last year. She was convicted of first and second-degree manslaughter, but she may only have to serve 2/3 of her sentence, which is a year and 4 months if she behaves. The rest would be served on supervised release. Now to Night Beat with a quick look at the day's top stories. One of the suspects in the murder of 19-year-old Jason Fox will spend nearly 28 years in prison. Last month, the Ponderay County jury found Claude Merritt guilty of kidnapping, beating, and murdering the Newport teen in 2020.
The only solace I have in this is knowing that the last words out of my mouth to Jason were, "I love you." And I am so thankful that I said that.
The family of Jason Fox asked the judge to give Claude Merritt the maximum sentence, and the judge did just that. In fact, he came to that decision when he heard no remorse in Merritt's statement this morning. To recap, in October of 2020, law enforcement found 19-year-old Jason Fox's body in an isolated area in Newport. Merritt was found guilty of his involvement in this crime. The final suspect believed to be involved in Jason's death goes on trial in May.
We need to get people into housing in months, not years. And number two, we have to provide supportive wraparound services around people, because a lot of these folks have mental health challenges and chemical challenges that need to be addressed if they're going to be successfully kept out of homelessness.
Washington Governor Jay Inslee made a visit to Spokane today. Inslee toured the Division Street corridor, learning more about the $50 million Division Street Bus Rapid Transit project. That project will be funded by the Move Ahead Washington financial package. The governor then met with Gonzaga students to talk climate priorities. His tour wrapped up at Highland Village Affordable Housing Project in Airway Heights. Across the state border in Idaho, Governor Brad Little and Attorney General Lawrence Wasden sent a letter today to Governor Inslee asking to stop Washington's proposal to tax fuel shipped to Idaho. The tax is part of a $16 billion spending proposal from Democratic state lawmakers investing in transportation improvements in Washington state over the next 16 years. According to Little's letter, $2 billion of the total budget will come from the exported fuel tax and will raise Idaho gas prices by 6 cents a gallon. The stage is set for one of the biggest names in music to come to the Inland Northwest on April 28th. Paul McCartney himself kicks off his world tour. Paul McCartney got back right here in Spokane at the Spokane Arena. But Paul McCartney isn't the only one coming. Brad Paisley also announced he's playing at Northern Quest on Sunday, June 26. Both shows' tickets will go on sale next Friday morning at 10. And that was a look at your night beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just text the word night to 509-448-2000 and we'll send them right to your phone. Tonight, the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation Indoor Track and Field Championship kicked off at the podium. After 18 years of being hosted at the University of Washington, MPSF relocated their championships. 14 men and women's teams across Big West and West Coast Conference schools are set to compete this year. The championships continue through tomorrow. And this summer, Fairchild Air Force Base is hosting the 13th CISM Women's World Cup. The World Cup takes place at Meade School District's Union Stadium. CISM, also known as the International Military Sports Council, is a worldwide military sports organization with the aim to bring together armed forces personnel for sports. 10 countries will arrive in Spokane on July 9th, with games kicking off on July 11th. Now, 3 teams from the Americas have been confirmed. They are the United States, Canada, and reigning champion Brazil. Other teams will also include 3 from Europe, 2 from Asia, and 2 from Africa. The Washington State Supreme Court unanimously confirmed animal abuse can constitute as domestic violence. The decision allows for more protections for victims and harsher punishments for perpetrators. The ruling allows courts to issue a post-conviction no-contact order between the perpetrator and the victim. The court issued its ruling in the case of a Seattle woman whose boyfriend savagely beat her dog to death back in 2018. He was sentenced to 18 months in prison, 12 for animal abuse, and an extra 6 because of traumatizing factors. And across the state line, Idaho is waiving its college entrance exam requirements for this year's graduates. The State Board of Education voted to waive the requirements for high school class of 2022, meaning students won't have to take the SAT or the ACT to get into Idaho universities. Right now, there's a proposed rule change in the Idaho legislature to permanently get rid of the tests. And that was your KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where you can get more news in less time. But don't go to bed just yet. After the break, an update to our KREM 2 investigation into the Spokane shock. We'll be back in just 90 seconds.